Christian Humber Reloaded, written by Christian Humber. Part 1. The Beginning. They say the times of your life is your childhood. Yeah, right. It's more like a living hell if you ask me. My family was killed by hunters when I was at least 2 months old. My brother and I were spared for some damn reason. I was pretty much raised in a laboratory somewhere. We hated it in there, because we had experiments conducted on us. When they killed my brother, that triggered my transformation, and in my rage, I killed all the scientists in the lab and destroyed it when I was 6 years old. So, after that, I was forced to flee into the woods. I had a tough time trying to join a pack, but they didn't let me because they thought I would be a threat. Boy, they were right. When some hunters came and killed most of the pack, in anger, I transformed and killed all but one hunter. He ran, but I caught up, ripped his throat out in a bloody mess. More hunters came. I did the same thing, but one escaped, and I earned my reputation of hunter-killer at 10. I was ambushed and critically hurt, like I could barely even stand. I finally passed out from all the pain. I was lucky to have lived. When I finally came around, I was in front of a nice, warm fire, and I was bandaged up. I had food lying in front of me. Since I haven't had anything to eat for 2 months, I ate all of it. The birth of a Super Saiyan wolf. The people who found me were a little girl with her father, who were very kind to have helped me. The little girl gave me a name that was Fluffy, which I hated, so her father gave me a better name that was Vash. I liked it because who the hell would name a wolf Fluffy? When I fully healed, I went out with her father to go hunting. Guess what happened? I stepped in a bear trap, and the trap's jaw snapped on my leg, but the jaw's iron teeth shattered when they hit my leg. The girl's father got scared when that happened. I used the scent on the trap to track the son of a who said it, and I did. Showing no remorse, killed the While I was asleep, the village was attacked. I woke up and saw the little girl and her father get killed. That caused me to speak my first words. No! Whoever did this will pay dearly because I loved them. I finally had enough rage to cause me to transform into a Super Saiyan. I was very pissed off and lost all control of my body, and I killed all the raiders and ate their guts. After that, I left the ruined village after I buried the little girl's and her father's bodies. The meaning of fighting. I was caught in a cage and was loaded onto a truck, which had no suspension whatsoever. When the truck went over rocks and logs, the people who captured me put a tarp over the cage to make sure I won't find my way back to the forest. When the truck stopped, the cage that held me was put into an arena, and I found out I would have to fight in order to survive. My first opponent was a German shepherd who almost killed me, except when I used the arena's walls to my advantage and I won, barely. I was forced to fight for this guy who treated me with such cruelty that I wanted to kill him so bad. So I played along with him until he made a fatal mistake. I used him in order to realize my fighting potential. When he opened the cage to pet me, I grabbed his hand and dragged him in and brutally killed him. I had to run in order to live. One of his guys saw me and ran after me until I broke through a window and jumped off a cliff facing the ocean. My human form achieved. I blacked out when I was in the water for some time. I was found when I washed up on shore by some strange creatures collecting shells on the beach. When I regained my senses, I was in a hut. I tried getting up, but I couldn't because I was battered around in the ocean for 3 weeks. I tried again, and I moved about 3 feet before collapsing again. The creature who found me bandaged all my wounds up with leaves from a plant. I woke up to find it watching me. I tried to ask where am I, and who the are you? It spoke in a language I've never heard before, but I could understand it. It said, you're on the island of Mata Nui, and I'm a Matorin, called Takua. What's your name? I said, I have no name, but I go by Vash. He said, that's a good name, but I've never seen your kind before. So, you're the first of your kind to ever land on this island. I said I need to understand myself and my anger, but I don't know how to. He thought for a moment and said, I know who can help you, but I'm not sure what she'll do or say. I said don't worry about it. I think I can make her understand somehow. He believed me and took me to her. He bowed in front of her and said, Towagali, this creature wants you to help him understand himself. She said it is certainly strange, but I'll try to help him as best as I can. After that, I did go, though, a lot of mental training. When I finished that, she wanted to see what I learned in the mental training, and I finally found my human form. My true power unleashed. She sent me to go train with the other Toa to understand my powers. Every time I finished my training with the Toa, I would learn something new about myself and the Toa who trained me. One of the hardest training to do was to race the Toa of stone, with a boulder tied to my back and heavy stones tied to my arms and legs. As I got stronger, the weight increased. Soon as he took the rocks off me, I raced him and almost won. The last Toa to train me was the Toa of Earth. Every day, he would take me into a mine and have me try to punch those solid rock. While I was training with him, a Rahi attacked us, and with my battered hands and feet, I kicked the Rahi those solid rock. He tied the heaviest metal to my arms and legs. After all the weight became so light, I finished all my training. After I emerged from the mine, all the Toa were standing in front of me. Takua was there too, and said, show us what you learned during your training. I did this time. I went Super Saiyan on command, and all my wounds healed very quickly. While I was training, I learned how to use a sword. Chaos. After I left Mata Nui, a portal appeared out of nowhere, and shadows snatched me and pulled me in. I blacked out. When I woke up, I was holding a sword I've never seen before. Before I could drop it, it stuck its tentacles into my wrist and caused me to lose control of my body. I was forced to fight against a lot of innocent people and creatures. The thing that had me, I heard, it is called chaos. Escape from chaos. I used my willpower to fight against it, and I succeeded after I fled, which was actually harder than the hardest mineral I've punched, though. When I escaped, I had to go into hiding. I was still connected to it, but I found out how to purify my soul by showing kindness, which was hard because the darkness in my heart wanted to kill everyone. I've soaked in purifying springs and attended church. That got rid of the tainted power in me. I finally escaped chaos. Meeting Spin. I had no money, so I had to become a bounty hunter in order to get money for food and water. Some of the people wanted me to kill world leaders like the one who started the Holocaust. That's right, I had to assassinate Hitler. And I got a huge bounty for doing it. After I got the money, I killed the person who hired me. I had enough money to get a weapon. I got a sword because I know how to use it. Another portal opened, and I fell in and landed in a different world. I landed and began exploring. I fell into a trap that disables your powers. I began to swear a lot in frustration. I stopped when a tall hedgehog was staring at me, and asked, "How did you get in that trap?" I told him what happened to me, but keeping my sword ready for any sign of danger. He got me out of the trap. I was about to thank him when a robot appeared, and I slashed the robot in half with my sword. He asked me, "What's your name?" I told him Vash. He laughed. I asked, "What's so funny about my name?" He said, "Vash isn't a name for you." He said, "How about you go by the name of Blade?" I said, "Blade?" He said, "Yeah, because you're the only wolf I know who can wield a sword like a pro." I asked him, "I haven't heard your name yet, so what is it?" He said, "The name's Spin. Spin the Hedgehog." I said, "Glad to meet you." The War Against the Eggman Empire. Later I heard from Spin that I was on Mobius, and there's a terrible war going on. The one who started the war was a guy named Dr. Robotnik, or called Dr. Eggman. After I heard about that, I wanted to kill Eggman, but I didn't show it. I met up with a group called the Freedom Fighters and presented myself to them, and they said, "You can't be a freedom fighter unless you can fight." That irritated me, but I accepted it, until I had to jump in to help them fight against the waves of enemy robots. They asked, "What are you doing here? You're going to get yourself killed." I said, "Just watch me." With that, I transformed into a Super Saiyan, and with one blast of energy, I destroyed the enemy attack force with no effort at all. They were surprised when I did that. The battle against the Viscerak Horde. After I became a freedom fighter, I got transported to a strange city covered with strange webs. I made sure I wouldn't fall into another trap by keeping my eyes and ears open for any sign of danger. Well, I did get into some danger by being spotted by a strange spider-like creature. Boy, was that a big mistake. The next thing I know, I'm dodging their projectiles. I pulled my sword out, and with my speed, I ran up a wall, on a building, and swung. When my sword hit one of the bitches, my sword broke in half. And in my head, I said, "Oh shit, I pissed it off. This time I'm screwed." The thing I hit with my sword turned and launched its projectile at me. I closed my eyes, expecting impact. Felt no pain. I opened my eyes, and something was standing in front of me in the way, and deflected the shot right at the thing that shot at me. I said thanks for getting me out of that mess, but what the hell are you? It said nothing. I asked again, this time louder, and it finally spoke. "You were lucky, but next time be more careful." I asked, "What are you?" It said, "I'm a Toa Horkata, half hero, half beast." I asked, "What were those that attacked me?" It said, "Those are Viscerak. They are responsible for my appearance." I asked it what its name is. It told me its name is Matau. I nearly screamed, "Teruga! Matau, last time I saw you, you were as tall as a Maturing. Now you're taller than me. What gives?" He said me, "Teruga, no, not never." I realized I went way back in time to the destroyed Mata Nui. I said I need a new sword in order to help you. He said if a forge is still intact, Vakama will try to make you one. I met the others, and I told them who I am and how I got here. They listened, and I showed Vakama my broken sword. He examined it and made a mold for a sword. His forge was mostly intact. I found out he had some great Kanoka discs hidden in his forge, and I helped him make it. It took us a while, and we finished it, but the Toa couldn't come up with a name for it. I came up with the name Tetsume. They liked it, but I had to make a thing that only I could use it. I grabbed it, and heated the blade up, and cut my finger on it, and put a drop of blood on it to symbolize only I could use it. Tetsume's first test. I found the perfect way to lure one to me. I set a trap for one by plucking a thread of silk. Drawing at least 5 to me, I pulled Tetsume out and struck it worked. I killed one of them again. They shot at me, but I went Super Saiyan and cut each one of them in half. I said to Tetsume, "Congratulations, Tetsume, you passed the test." I turned to the Toa and said, "Now that I'm ready, let's go open a can of whoop-ass." They didn't know what that meant, so I told them it means let's go beat the living out of the Viscerac. They agreed to my idea. The final battle against the Horde. The Toa showed me where the main entrance nest was. I saw a lot of guards patrolling the entrance to the nest. I told the Toa, I too act as a decoy while you guys infiltrate the nest. They agreed to my plan, and we carried it out. I actually had fun being the decoy. I insulted them by calling them ugly. After I lost them, I found the Toa and looked for anything that would really piss them off. I saw the Maturine capsules. I told the Toa that I'm about to do something very stupid, so don't try this at home. I jumped from my hiding place and landed on their web, attracting all their attention to me. I was right about how to piss them off. I had a lot of fun dodging their attacks. I got hit by the Red One's projectile. It felt like I was burning up, but that didn't stop me from going psycho, and I did. I killed most of them when I saw the Toa in danger. I jumped up there and kicked the Viscerac off the web, and while it was falling, I blasted it. I went with the Toa and found their leader, who is a big, ugly son of a... The Toa told me not to fight along their side. I was about to protest when they told me it's their fight. I said if you need some help, just call me. The Toa fought pretty well, except when some Viscerac entered the fight. So I entered the fight just to kill the Viscerac. After that, I saw the Toa getting beaten. So I went against what Vakama told me, and entered the fight just to hold him off long enough for the Toa to combine their attacks into one. But the blast didn't even scratch him. I told the Toa try it again. They did, but this time I used my power to help the blast this time. It almost killed him, so I used Tetsume and killed him. The birth of Takanuva, the Toa of Light. I got a call from Dahunuva. When I returned to Mata Nui, I went to Takuro to see why I was called for. I found out that Takua is the chronicler, and that he found a strange mask. The mask I found out is the Great Mask of Light. And I went with Takua and Jolar to find the 7th Toa. I saw one of the ugliest creatures I've never seen before, called Rakshi. One of them is the reason I'm insane. The one that did that to me was the White Rakshi. I defeated it with ease. I was almost killed by them in the Kini, in the center of Mata Nui, when a golden light shone and disabled them. When I looked up, I saw a golden Toa, but when I looked deeper, I saw Maturine. I saw it was Takua. He said, "I am Takanuva, the Toa of Light." I met a very funny Maturine named Tamu. He taught me a good insult, and I still use it. The Magon is discovered. While I was trying to find some light stones, I found something extremely cool, but when I touched it, it reacted and fused to my arm, and 3 bullets appeared. I took them and showed them to Teruga Nakoma. She said this thing you found is very unique, but we have never seen it before. Then Cedarak appeared, and the thing on my arm reacted, and something came over me that caused me to say soil is my power, and it transformed into a gun. And I said, the Magon has thawed. Then I also said the soil charge to be used against you has been decided. The thing that mows everything down, storm blue, the thing that erases all color, ash gray, and finally, the thing that drops you into eternal darkness. Silent black, it started pulsating. Destroy. I summon you, Atomos. I fired it, and the shots went into the clouds, and a huge eye appeared, and slowly opened, and began to suck everything up. I realized I summoned Atomos, the living black hole. I yelled, "Get underground now!" And the Toa did. Because I summoned Atomos, most of the trees were ripped out. I apologized for what happened. I later found out I used the legendary Magon. I went back to where I found it, and found a strange belt with the same kind of bullets in it, and a shotgun. Inscribed on its handle was carved Blade. Take my weapons, and I will help you in battle against your old enemy Kaze. I asked myself, how'd he know about me, and about chaos? Then I heard a voice in my head say, I know you, from the things you've done. For I am your guardian. I said, my guardian? Yes, that's right, your guardian. I said, cool. Hold on, who made you my guardian? He said, your father chose me to protect you from the darkness. But I couldn't protect you from the warp. I died fighting your corrupted self. I said nothing. Then he said, I lodged 3 purifying bullets in your chest. The fight against the Chaos Blade. I asked Kaze what I was like in my corrupted form. He told me, really ugly and very violent. I was going to ask Kaze what the gun on the belt was called, but before he could answer, a portal opened, and a figure stepped out, and he told me who the guy was. I pulled Tetsume out, and he pulled a sword that I recognized as the same sword that caused me to lose control of my body. The Slayer of Souls, I said in my threatening voice, so. We meet at last, ugly, putting it lightly. Kaze was right about how ugly he is. I said, your move, ugly. With that comment, he rushed head-on in rage. Boy, he made the worst mistake by striking head-on. I used my speed to get behind him, but he moved and got behind me, so I whipped Kaze's shotgun out and pointed it at point-blank at his head and fired, but missed. He struck and cut my arm off, holding Tetsume. He really regretted that by having me use the Magon as a Super Saiyan. I used Odin that time, killing my corrupted self. The ultimate weapon discovered. I had my arm replaced by a robotic arm, and I got the hang of using it. I had an encounter with a gang, and I scared them off by punching through a wall without even trying. The second time was I crushed a member's skull with one hand. And for the final encounter with the gang, I tortured all of them by skinning them alive and hung them on a wall still alive. Every gang that came across me ended up skinned or decapitated. As I was finishing off a gang, a portal opened and threw something out of it and hit me straight in the forehead. It hurt a little bit. When I looked at what hit me in the forehead, I found a strange jewel. I identified it as the Shikon jewel, but white as snow. That confused me because the Shikon jewel is pink, but white. That makes no sense at all. I decided to keep it and understand why it is white. The Magon reacted to it, and the white Shikon jewel did the same. When a demon that I recognized as my brother appeared, I was a bit confused, but when he attacked me, I realized he was corrupted by chaos, a foul demon who took my brother's body. That is when the Magon and the white Shikon jewel became one, and I fired it without the soil charges. It destroyed his body and the demon, But the jewel was gray when it got spit out of the Magon. Tetsume breaks. My corrupted self appeared again. I fought him, and when he struck with the Slayer of Souls, it broke Tetsume in half, which caused me to transform into a killing machine. The only thing that stopped me was a little girl and her father. She told me, "Don't kill anymore, because I love you." That caused me to regain my senses. I said, "I like you too, Soku." After that, I had Tetsume repaired by using one of my fangs, and everyone I walked by would run and hide, as if I was still on my killing spree. I told everyone, "You don't have to be afraid of me anymore, because I learned when my sword is taken from me or broken, I become that ruthless beast." After I said that, a robbery happened. I regretted dropping Tetsume and transforming, but I did show the burglars this. When you see me drop my sword, run as fast as you can, because if I catch you, you're fucked. I tried to understand my ruthless side, but I couldn't. I went to Japan to find someone who could help me, but I was not welcomed. So I welcomed myself by beating the living crap out of the Emperor, which was fun, especially when he tries to fight back. That taught Japan not to keep me out, because I would again beat the out of the ruler. Betrayed by Soku. I was buying some food for dinner when I was attacked by the police. I knew they couldn't find me. I asked myself, who the hell told them I was here, living in peace, and why? I returned to Soku's house and asked who told the cops I was here. Soku said, "I did." I had to, because I was offered a large bounty for your head. I'm sorry for betraying you. I couldn't pass up the reward. I wanted to kill her, but I made a promise not to kill any more, so I couldn't. Revenge against Soku's family. I let the police take me, but I told her, in a deep, threatening voice, "You will regret betraying me." She didn't know I was going to wipe out her entire gene pool. I met her friends before I was betrayed, so I broke out of prison, killed her friends first, just to scare her. But she didn't know it was me who killed her friends, until I told her. After telling her, I tore out her throat, and I then destroyed the village, killing the rest of her family. I also killed her relatives in her family. By doing that, I broke my promise to her. Regret. I fled from the police for years. The only place I could go is Mata Nui, and I went there just to be alone, until I could return to the human world. 16 years later, I returned to California and decided to give the police a message, which was, "I'm back," by breaking down the front door and walking in wearing all black and a hockey mask on, which scared all of them to death, until I said, "I'm back." One of them said, "Who are you?" I said, "The one who destroyed that village 16 years ago, and hug me." They had a confused look on their faces, like, what the f***? I just held my hands out and said, "Just arrest me." And they did. I was in jail for at least 5 years. Then, a jailbreak happened, and I was given the job to either kill or arrest the convicts. I enjoyed hunting the convicts epically, when they had no idea what's going on to happen to them, until it was too late. I brought back some of them alive, but most of them I ended up killing. My first fun job. I was given the job of convict and terrorist hunting, because I enjoyed hunting them and infiltrating their stronghold, then go on my killing spree. Blood and guts everywhere. I fed upon the guts, or at least bringing down a building after rescuing the hostages. No matter what the odds were, 1 against 1,000, which I always liked. I always ended up getting the job done, and ended up not damaging important buildings. The only time I had to bring a building down was when the terrorists were threatening to use a nuke, which I defused and then brought it down by sending a shock wave through the support beams. Darkness never dies, no matter how many times you kill it. While I was waiting for a job, guess what? I got arrested again because of my corrupted side. I told the court this. I didn't kill all those civilians. I was here waiting for my next mission. They didn't believe me until I caught the one who was killing the civilians. Guess who I found? My corrupted self. I pulled Tetsume out and fought again. This time, I slashed him in half and then used the Magon. I killed him for the third time. The Slayer of Souls was still in the world I'm in, so I decided to seal it for all eternity. I did seal it and threw it into the ocean. That way, it can't be used by anyone, including myself. Soku's revenge against me. 10 years later. I was playing with some children when a familiar scent appeared. I knew it was Soku because I recognized her scent. She probably wanted revenge on me for killing her family. I regretted killing her in front of them. They started to cry. I told them I had to because I couldn't risk having you get killed. That's why I killed her. And if I let her live, she would tell the people who are after me that I have a thing for children. They were still a little scared of me, but I told them it's all right for you to be scared of me, because I, killed a lot of people in the past. But I changed. They stared at me, then tackled me. When they did that, they were laughing. I laughed too, because I was happy. The Call. One night, while I was sleeping, I was awakened by a strange call that sounded like, "Help me. Anyone and anybody, help me." I was confused by the call because it wasn't from the children, so I thought, who's calling me, and why? I ignored the call for most of the time I was in school, until I was done with school for the rest of my life. When I was walking home for summer, I saw a strange creature.